Hey everybody, good morning. So I had the thought on my heart that maybe I should share my biggest regret in my entire life. But the issue with that is discussing my biggest regret doesn't just affect me. It affects other people in my life and my son's life. So unfortunately, yeah, this is a video that after making, I would have to seriously consider whether or not to share it. So at the end of the day, I don't want to hurt anyone. A long time ago, I did have a past of hurting people, and now that is the furthest thing from me. I don't want to do anything that really causes anyone else harm. I deal with enough pain myself to not want to inflict any of that on anyone. But at the end of the day, my biggest regret is my biggest regret. You know, it's my story as well. So maybe it would be good to share it. Why? Maybe it could be therapeutic. And then also, man, maybe it could help someone. Maybe I'm not the only one, even though, man, in this particular circumstance, I feel like maybe I am the only one. I don't know. But I'm a full-time dad to a special needs son. And the person who I think this would affect would be his other side of the family, his mother's side of the family. But here we go. My biggest regret, the thing that causes me more pain, more regret, more agony than anything else in my life. Well, here it is. Before I had my son, I was in a terrible relationship, probably one of the worst relationships I've ever been in. There was a lot of circumstances that caused us to just kind of have to stick together. We didn't have to, but at the time it kind of felt like we had to. So I was with this girl for too many years, man. And we had reached a point to where we were finally done for reasons that could be an entirely additional video that are very hard to discuss. Like, we have no idea what the circumstances were in this particular situation, but most people would have done the same thing that we did. But anyways, we decided to live together afterwards. And once things were officially like, okay, we have a plan, we're fucking done, we just need to get away from each other. I had helped her with, I remember, I think a plane ticket at the time to visit family, make preparations, helped her buy a vehicle so that she could leave and be on her way and just go. I think at the time, I'm pretty sure I was paying all the bills. I think I had my cousin staying with me who had needed some help at the time. I was pretty much doing things on my own, and I was busting my ass working a lot, so I had a little bit of extra money to help. So I helped her get a car, everything was good to go. Now, when I break up with someone, I'm an honest person. I don't like hurting people. If I'm done with you, I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want to confuse feelings. So for a period of at least a month or multiple months, like, we hadn't slept together. I was sleeping on the couch, gave her the bedroom while we were in the process of breaking up. Really wasn't difficult for me or whatnot. But right before she had began to get ready to leave, we did slip up and we slept together one more time. Now, let me pause and rewind. This is also a topic that's extremely difficult to talk about because a lot of people would not understand, and it's just really difficult for me to talk about. And in addition to it being difficult for me to talk about, this goes back to the thing I mentioned earlier about it affecting other people and me not wanting to hurt anyone. But this is what it is. My son's mother did have some mental issues that no one noticed. Half of her friends didn't notice. I really hope as deeply as I can that if she sees this video, that it doesn't affect her in a negative way. It's the last thing I want. I don't have that in me. Despite how much pain this woman has caused me, I don't really blame her for any of it. I blame myself for it all, because at the end of the day, it is my fault. I made my own choices. But my son's mother did have some very slight mental issues. She also was Mexican, spoke fluent Spanish. I do not. So there was a language barrier when we had met. Anyways, I hadn't noticed the slight mental issue that she had until deep into the relationship, months. Little things started to present themselves, but a lot of her friends didn't notice. I think some of them did, but a lot of them didn't. It's just something you have to spend a lot of time with someone to see these subtle things that are just a little bit off. I'll repeat it again because I feel so guilty sharing this, but you know, it is what it is. This is a circumstance. Once I started to notice these things, it was very difficult, and other circumstances unfortunately were present that caused us to have to stay around each other for a very long time. And she was in love with me, and you know, we cared for each other or whatnot, but it was very difficult, very fucking difficult to deal with for the time that we were together. We had stuck together for way too long. Part of that is, so I was only around 21 at the time. I was very young, and I had this issue, I guess, with hurting other people. I didn't want to hurt women especially, you know. We may have stuck it out for a little too long. Like I said, there was other circumstances as well. And let me get back into where the biggest regret comes in. Part of it is staying around too long when I did not need to, but I thought at the time that I did. Now, I knew before sleeping with this woman that she was very against abortion. Before we had broken up, we made the mistake of sleeping together one time. First time in more than a month or months since we were living together. Like I said, I was sleeping on the couch. She was sleeping in the bedroom, and right before she was supposed to leave, maybe a week before she was supposed to leave, we slept together. Afterwards, I went and got her the Plan B pill. I went and bought it from the store. She had promised to take it. I was just getting ready to go to work the next morning. She said, of course, I'll take it. Now, I knew before sleeping with her that she was very against abortion, but she was not against taking the Plan B pill by any means. Anyways, it was her plan to purposely not take this pill and to get pregnant. And she had told my cousin who was living with us at the time about it. She's like, yeah, I didn't take it. I knew he'd be a good dad. I really wanted a baby. So my biggest fear, if she did get pregnant, was that my son would have a special need. He would have an issue. It was the scariest thought I could imagine. Just him not being okay, it being my fault, the struggles he would deal with. Once she got pregnant, we did discuss having an abortion because I knew that there was a likeliness of him being disabled. Not only did she have an issue, but other direct members in her family had issues as well. So I thought the likeliness of my son being disabled was extremely high. It was the scariest thought I think I could imagine at the time. I pretty much begged her not to have it. I wasn't ready. I just started getting my life together. I bought her the pill. We both had agreed to take it. For her to do that the way she did was just, it was just seemed pretty messed up. On top of that, she didn't even tell me she was pregnant until around the time she was getting ready to leave. And I guess on a last minute whim decided to tell me, hey, I'm pregnant, by the way. Right before she was supposed to leave to Los Angeles, right before she was supposed to move, right when I had given all this money to her, helped her buy her vehicle, helped her to be on her way, given her all this money. And then she decided to tell me she was pregnant. And I think it was a month or more after we had already slept together. And it was literally only the one time in months we had slept together, and then she just happened to get pregnant. Anyways, I was terrified. I wasn't just terrified for myself. I was terrified for my future son. I always wanted a child. My father was never around. I always wanted to be a daddy, but I wanted to do it right. I grew up in a family where no one did it right. My dad was never around, and I knew I wanted to do what my father never did. I also wanted to be the parent that my parents never were. I wanted to be a great parent, but I wanted to do it right. A big part of being a great parent is trying to do it right, finding the right person to be with, making sure that they have that support system. I knew that none of those circumstances were going to be true if I had a child with this woman. Once she said she was keeping it, I pretty quickly developed like the worst panic attacks. First time in my life, I was like seizing up, ending up in the hospital a couple times a month. I was just so stressed, and it hit a lot worse like a month or two before my son was born. I started having panic attacks just constantly to where I could barely drive, could barely work. This was probably a big catalyst that started my anxiety disorder as it went. Once she told me she was pregnant, I decided to do what I thought was the right thing. And once she decided to keep it, like I said, it was never in the cards for me to not be a good father. I would have never even considered not being there for my child. Like I said, I always wanted to be a dad. I wasn't ready to be one then, but I was still going to. And I wanted things to be done right. But the circumstances came, and I just hoped every day that my son would not be disabled, that he would be all right, because at the end of the day, it would have been my fault. I knew better. At the end of the day, as you guys probably know from watching this channel, my son does have a special need. He has cognitive delay. He will pretty much mentally always be a youngster, a sweet little youngster. He's 10 years old now, love him to death. I don't think I foresaw at the time either that I would pretty much be the only one raising him for so many years. I've had him full time for most of his life. His mother stays all the way in Los Angeles. I stay in Sacramento. I see him maybe every month or two on school vacations, and I have him the rest of the time, give him all the love I can, though at times it doesn't seem like it's enough. But anyways, this is what it ended up being. My son has autism. He has cognitive delay. He is a very sweet little boy who I love very much. But because of these circumstances, my biggest regret, the thing that causes me more pain than anything in my life, is the fact that all of the pain that he goes through, all of the times that he can't understand why his mother isn't around, why he feels certain ways, when he gets upset because he can't understand things, the pain that we feel as a special needs parent is just constant. And my regret, I don't talk about this very much, but the regret that I feel, the pain, is unbearable most days. It's something I hold on my back, on my chest, constantly. I feel and know that it is my fault that my son deals with the issues that he deals with. Another reason why I try to give him so much love. I would anyways because he's my child, but I know that his circumstance is my fault. I know that I could have prevented it. I know that I could have chose a better mommy for him. And now I deal with all the things that a special needs parent deals with, but I also, unfortunately, deal with the burden of it being my fault, which I think a lot of parents don't have to deal with. That's the one thing that I feel most alone about. Out of a lot of the special needs parents that I talked to, I believe only one had told me that they thought or they had a hunch that the person that they were with had like a mental issue or had like a disability issue, and they chose to be with them anyways and have a child, and that they felt that kind of regret. But it was, I think, only one other special needs parent had told me that. But I wonder if it was as prevalent as it was in my situation, knowing how avoidable it was and how I chose to still be with this person, even though it was that one freaking time after being so good and not being together for so long. But anyways, that's irrelevant. I do my best to keep my son happy. I dedicate so much of my time to him. I try to have all my work finished by a certain time so I can really dedicate my day to him and try to keep him happy and keep him social, as any parent should. But when we fall short, when I fall short, when his disability gets the best of him, when he's sad, when he's confused, the burden is just so much. And knowing that I can never do enough to outdo what I did is unbearable, and it's something I live with. And it's not even anything that I know. I don't deserve any sympathy. He does. I don't deserve any fucking sympathy. He does. All the things he goes through are because of mine and his mother's choices. And because I'm sure I knew better, it falls back on me more than anyone. It's something I have to live with. I just can't feel bad enough. I can't feel more regretful. I can't feel more empathy. It kills me every day. It's the hardest thing. Like I said, it's my biggest regret in life more than anything else. Knowing that I can never do enough, even when I try my best, is just unbearable. The fact that I feel at fault and feel guilty for everything he goes through on a daily basis is literally unbearable. It's unbearable at times. 3-4 miles of running can't undo it. It can make it better. Dedicating 3, 4, 5 hours a day to him may not fix it, but it makes it better. But I guess at the end of the day, nothing we do really fixes our problems. Maybe they do, or maybe they make them a little better. A lot of the positive things that we do are not going to take the pain away, but they will lessen the pain. Working on ourselves will never heal the pain from our past. If we had abusive parents, if we went through a trauma, it will probably never fix the pain that we feel from those things, but it will make it better. We can achieve a brighter outlook and a better perspective as related to those pains and those struggles, those things that we've been through in our past. I'm actually having an epiphany while I'm saying this. I don't think it'll help an incredible amount, but literally while I'm talking about it, I think I just found the purpose in me talking about it. And it's something I already knew, something I've repeated in my head a lot, and that's literally what I just said. Nothing will fix the pain. Nothing will fix the circumstance. It's still going to be there every day. But what can I do to make it better? And that's live a life with no regret. Doing all I can as a dad to make my son happy. To give all I can for him, which I do and will continue to do, happily. And I know it will never be enough. I know I will always feel guilty for the pain that he feels and the struggles that he goes through. But there's a lot of circumstances out there that are different than mine, where both parents were completely healthy and they had special needs children. I know a lot of people that had no choice in the matter. They were just dealt a very difficult hand. And I'm very lucky that my son has the ability that he has and that it isn't worse. And I practice gratitude. I practice being thankful every single day. And I am so thankful that it's not worse. It doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't make him better. It doesn't make me better. But I can still do my part, not to fall apart, not give up, and to make sure that me and him both have the best lives that we can, given our circumstances. There's so much that I can do to make both of our lives better, and I will dedicate every day of my life to making sure that I do that, and to doing all that I can to have a better future for the both of us, because he deserves it, and I think I deserve it too. And anyone watching this, if you're trying to do the best you can and you're trying to improve and make your circumstances better, you're a good person, you deserve that too. Like I said, this is a video I'm going to have to think very hard and deep on even sharing. Not because it affects me, but because it can affect my son, his mother, her side of the family. At the end of the day, I do love all of them and I care for them. I care for them for being in my son's life. I care for them in general, and I just hope this doesn't hurt anyone, but maybe it has to be shared to help other people. Thank you guys.